Hi, everyone. Welcome to the BizDev Podcast, the podcast about developing your business. I'm David Baxter, your host, and I am joined by Gary Voigt, who just happens to be the owner of the world's largest collection of plastic flamingos. How's it going there, Gary?
Well,
congratulations on your new world record.
Thank you. Storage is getting expensive, though. But I live in Florida, so I have an immense...
See, it makes sense. It's just all around your trailer, right? You just got
all around my
thousands.
Trailer.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, perfect.
Thanks.
All right. So we are joined today by Aradhana Aggarwal, who is the CEO, and let me make sure I get the name right, the CEO of and president of Expert in Tax Strategies and International Tax Compliance. Whew, that's a name. Do you ever shorten that into like a crazy acronym?
I have to think about it.
There you go. Welcome to the show. We're going to start off. We're going to change gears a little bit. We've been talking about hiring, but I want to pause on that because you just happened to join us at a very timely time. You are a tax expert. It just happens to be tax season. And so I'm curious from a small business perspective, and I know probably most of your clients, if you're doing international taxes, probably not small businesses, but our focus is always on small business. And so what would you say to someone just starting out, someone who's just in their first few years, because taxes are, Greek hieroglyphics to most people. What would you say is the best thing to do to prepare and not get caught? Not caught in like a bad way, but, caught off guard is a better way of saying that.
Absolutely. So David, what happens when somebody starts out their own business, they wear so many hats. So if they're good at, let's say if they're good at marketing, they may be good at technology. Not necessarily they're going to be good at taxes. And that's where we come in, and we always tell them that, hey, whatever you are good at, focus on that. Anything else, because even no matter how much information you get online, no matter how much information they get from other businesses, their situation can be so totally different. So it's very, very important for them to at least consult a tax professional to make sure, number one, they're compliant. Second, they don't have any big surprises when they file the tax returns, because those small businesses, they don't even realize what their net income is during the past year. They don't even realize what their capital gains are. So it's very, very important for them to make sure that they are not seeing those surprises when they are about to file the taxes. So planning ahead of time is very important. Once December is gone, there are very limited tax strategies that we can implement. So it's important to reach out to a tax expert before December 31st so that we can make sure that, then we have gazillions of legal tax strategies that we can implement to make sure that the client is tax efficient. So going back to your question, so now the tax time is there. So the tax returns are due for partnership, and for S Corps, the tax returns are due on 15th March. For corporations, they are due on 15th April. There are still some tax strategies that they can use. There are retirements, there may be some expenses that they may not have thought about it. There may be some credits, there may be research and development credits and all those sort of things. So there is still time, but always, I recommend that they seek out an expert advice on that, because if we don't know something, then we don't know. What we don't know, or let's put it this way, what we don't know, we don't know. So it's important for us to, and especially when people are just in that kind of startup phase, they don't realize, because they're not thinking about taxes. All they're thinking about growing, about bringing clients. And when things happen, maybe they might get a letter from IRS, and that would remind them, oh my God, I didn't submit my quarterly taxes. A lot of people, and that's what we see, especially for small businesses. So when they start out, they don't even realize that they are supposed to be paying quarterly taxes, because now they're not on W-2, but the employer is holding the taxes and submitting those taxes to the state and federal on their behalf. So those are the things. And then all of a sudden now April comes and they're like, oh, I have to pay that much amount. Why the bill is so high? I didn't save that money. I reinvested back in the business. And that's where it's important to get that guidance from the beginning to make sure that, number one, you're compliant, second, you're tax efficient, and then third, you don't have to worry about, at least on the tax side or compliance side, because a tax professional is going to take care of you.
So that was a lot to unpack. Let me see if I understand the cliff notes of that. So because I've seen a lot of small business guys get completely taken off guard by this. And what you're saying is, if you're planning for tax now, and we're recording this in late February, but if it's February, March, it's too late, right? You're going to just hobble along this year because it's probably going to be wrong, because you should have started a long time ago. So start early. You should be starting for planning for next year now, right? Make sure that you are saving for taxes, because they are absolutely going to be due, and they're going to be more than you think they are. And make sure that you talk to a tax professional. If you own a business, you should not be doing your own taxes any longer. I don't care if you're selling soap out of your garage. You need a real tax person. And I will tell you, so our tax plan, because I was caught off guard by all of these things, because it was just me, and I'm like, whatevs, right? If you are not just a DBA or doing business as, sole proprietorship, tiny little thing, which you can be actually to be a lot longer. One thing that's funny about that, Dave Ramsey, big fan, says people get excited about creating an LLC because they think it's like a checkbox. That means they're real. But you don't really need an LLC until you have enough revenue coming in that someone might sue you out of oblivion. That's really what the LLC is, right? And so people get all excited. But when you do that, you're now changing your whole tax strategy. You just don't even realize it. You think it's cool because it allows you to put a shingle up. No, it doesn't. It doesn't change any of that. But it does completely change how your taxes work. And you probably didn't realize that. And you're probably going to not save correctly because of that. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, if you're a sole proprietorship, then it's just all personal income tax. Anyways, you don't need any strategies as it comes down to it. But once you slap that LLC on the back, or any of the other ones, now you have to act like a business. Is that an accurate statement?
So yes and no, David. So when you have an LLC, it's a real business, official business. And as you said, that if somebody were to sue you for any reason, then your liabilities are only limited to what you have in that LLC from the asset perspective. Nobody can come after your personal assets. On the tax planning side, you can still work as a freelancer without no LLC. The tax impact is still going to be the same if you have an LLC or you don't have an LLC, because everything is coming through your individual income tax return.
Gotcha.
The question is how you can minimize the tax burden legally, right? So we are not evading the tax, there is no tax evasion, but with the right tax strategies, you can save a whole lot in taxes. And that's where the tax strategies or the tax experts, they come in the picture. And whether it's an LLC or it's not an LLC, or you're just doing freelancing work, but if your income is sizable, even just doing as a freelancer, as a kind of sole entrepreneur, no legal structure, there can still be so many tax strategies that can be used to bring down the income or bring down the taxable income, all legal tax strategies. So to answer your question, yes, you are right on that LLC is more to protect you from the legal perspective than to save you money on the tax side of the things. And what happens, people don't realize, and we hear and we see all these things a lot in our business, a lot in our practice. So what happens, somebody said, oh no, you have to open an LLC. Oh, you're doing this business. Now you have this soap business, you're selling on Etsy, you need to have an LLC. And they open an LLC, nobody knows. And then they choose the wrong structure. Also, somebody would tell them, hey, you should choose an S Corp election because that would save you taxes, because somebody told them, because that situation was applicable to them. And now guess what? They elected this S Corp election, which is not good for them, because now they have to run the payroll for themselves and they're not big enough where it will make a dent in their tax situation. So always, because, this internet and Google is great, right? We love it. But when we try to Google everything on there, we get so much information that sometimes it's not good. And, I can go online and it's like, oh, S Corp, is it good for taxes? It will say yes. One link might say yes. And people just go with that, or some friends, they told them. So that's one thing definitely I would always say, when you're in business, always rely on your tax professional, not on friends or not on other businesses. It's good to listen to them. It's good to know what their journey has been on the tax side, on the business side, but always, because your situation is always going to be unique. Your situation is always going to be different. So always try to work with the tax professional who can guide you on the number one, on the right entity structure, which is very important. So for example, as you mentioned, David, it's an LLC, right? So one is LLC. Then you can choose this to be taxed as an S corp, which is you are still an LLC, but you are just telling IRS that, hey, I want to be taxed as an S corp because there are some tax advantages for that. And IRS doesn't allow you to do it for, just for your benefit, because they want their piece in it. So they'll tell you, hey, now it's mandatory for you to take a reasonable salary. Folks who would choose that election won't even know, and then they become non-compliant, and that's where they get letters from IRS and all that. And then, that whole circle starts from there on. So
you're basically explaining exactly what I went through when I left my corporate job to freelance. And I had to talk to someone. Luckily, a friend of a friend was a tax expert and kind of pointed me in the right direction. But yeah, my advice would be, as soon as you sign up for that business license, talk to a tax professional. Make that like the second part of signing the business license, whether it is an LLC, which in my case, the LLC sole proprietor was the way for me to go. Not the S corp, because obviously I didn't have any employees and there was no reason to cut myself a payroll check. I just needed that LLC for the protection, and to also, like you said, just for whatever I'm paying for my business, make sure that I'm taking the proper and correct deductions for my taxes. But yeah, so I would say as soon as you get a business license, step 2 is consult a tax professional.
All right. So I want to take a step back and talk about your business in general. So how did you decide? First, how long have you been in business? How long has your company been around?
So we are fairly new in the practice. I have been a CPA for 20 years. I am also a chartered accountant from India, which is equivalent to CPA here. And I got my management education, executive management education from Wharton School of Business here. And I have been a CPA for 20 years, but I was in corporate for a long time. I was in C-level roles. And then I had twins, 2 boys, about 6 years ago. And initially I kept doing some jobs, some contracting work. And then it's just, I was like, no, I need to find something where I can manage my personal life and my career better. And that was the trigger behind this practice. So my first tax season was 2019. So we have been around.
Good choice.
For 4 years.
That's a good first one to have. I'm sure that wasn't weird at all.
Yeah. So yeah.
A little pandemic introduction there. So 2019. So you're starting your 4th-ish year, right? So how did you go? My favorite question to ask newer businesses is to talk about your first year, because everyone knows if you've ever started a business, it's always joyous and so easy that it just flies right by, right? So how was your first year? How did you get your first clients? How did you get started?
So the way I started it, so the first, when I started it, I still kept my other contract work because, I wanted to test the waters and, I need to be financially stable to make sure. So I didn't completely jump into that. Started it out as a kind of side thing initially. And then, my initial clients, I would say the way it started, I put myself out there telling people that I started the CPA company. And so I got a couple of clients who didn't even know me, just out of the blue. And I didn't have any office that time. I didn't have anything else going on. It's just my name. It's just my own brand. And they trusted me. And, how I collected their information, I would go to their house, collect all the information. I would sit down with them, bring all the paper back. I did their taxes and I took them back to their house because they were the ones who didn't want to go through this online uploading documents and everything. So I went there, and believe me or not, they are still my clients, no matter how the kind of growth that we have seen in all these 4 years. I still personally go to them. And the same process we follow. I go to them, get all the paperwork, sit down with them, go over the details, bring those papers back, do their taxes, and then take those back to deliver it to them. So that's, I guess that was the root of things. And the point that I'm trying to make, because those were the clients who trusted me or who put confidence in me when I had nothing. And I just can't forget them just because we are growing. So I can't just leave them and then take care of the new clients. So those are still my best clients so far. And I still do that process every single year. As soon as the tax season starts, I go there. No matter how busy I am, we'll fix a time and then do that. So that's how it started, and the trust, the confidence, and then it was words of mouth from those existing clients. It kept growing, and with God's grace, we have been growing exponentially. When I say exponentially, it's just really exponentially. So
That's awesome.
and yeah, those existing clients, they are real, like, when they are out there to kind of say good things about us, and that's the real marketing. When you think about it, the clients that you have, if they say good things about you, that's a faith and confidence for other clients, for other potential clients, because when they are hearing those good things from your existing clients, they know that it's not like any paid marketing or anything, because it comes from the real people who have used our services year over year. So that's how it started, and it's just been growing like that.
We have heard from many entrepreneurs and small businesses that word of mouth and referrals are definitely the lifeblood of starting up and continuing to grow.
It reminds me, so not that long ago, I was working with one of our oldest clients. We've been with them 8 years, I guess, out of 10. And they were asking me to do something, and I've been their developer the whole time. And it's just been in the last year or so that I've had to let them know that I can't do that anymore because I don't develop much anymore. I have to introduce you to one of our devs. Like, it was a shock to some of our oldest clients that we had grown, because they had no idea, right? They just come to us, hey, can you fix X, Y, and Z? Sure, no problem. And I'm like, yeah, there's 10 of us now. It's a little different than when we started. And so, here's Scott. He'll take great care of you. That was a really weird transition that we've had to do for a few clients, especially when they've been friends. Like original clients, often come their friends, and they don't care if you're growing or not. They're just a person you go and have lunch with once a quarter or whatever, and then they need help. And so it's funny. You're talking about how you still treat those original clients. I mean, yeah. I think that's kind of neat. I mean, it's like you stuck with me and chose me when no one else did, right? Because we're brand new, and you took a chance on a new company, and, you get their rewards for that. I still have one. I just call it the Ricky discount. I mean, it's like, okay, yeah, that's just because you're Ricky, you get this discount. So you've been for 4 years. You guys are growing exponentially. I love that. And so have you grown? Are you still doing the network? Is still all referrals, or have you grown to the point where you've got ads and all of that good stuff around?
So now, you mean from the marketing perspective? Are you?
Yeah. I mean, are you getting to the point where you're casting a wider net now that you're larger, or are you still pure referral? Let's go.
So now we don't do any paid marketing or anything, but it's just now online companies, they reach out to us because they want to post our link on their website, because of our clientele base has grown so big, and people are kind of Googling us and they're finding good information. So I get a lot of actually emails from these online publishing companies that they would put our names out there for, and then we don't pay them or anything. So to answer your question, like on our side is still referral based. Online side, online companies are doing our marketing on their own, and I really don't have to reach out to them or anything. It's just if they do it. And so this is how it's happening. So even if probably you Google our company, it might come up on certain links because they'll say, oh, this is the best company in Durham. And then the links, the companies who are marketing businesses in Durham, they find us and then they're like, you have the best Google reviews, and it's amazing, and we'll showcase your business on our website. So, and I don't even know honestly at this point, like where my name is listed online on those websites. So yeah, I mean, we like our model is still more, because we get it's right now we are at a point that we are hiring more and more people to manage the growth that we are experiencing. So we don't make that additional effort to go out and get the clients, because clients are already coming to us, and we have to just manage that growth internally to make sure. And you brought a very good point, David, when you said that when somebody is so used to seeing you, talking to you every time, and now you have grown and it's like, okay, now I will send you over to this person. And so it's a transition. And so that's where we are in the same situation. But yeah, so our model is still referral, because we get, if one client is happy, believe me or not, he brings at least, I would say, 20-25 other clients. Wow. And that's how we're growing the trust, the faith, the confidence that our clients, they place in us. And I'll tell you some of the reasons why they do it. As I started out initially, it was a small practice. We did returns for individuals. So as a tax professional, we hold very, very confidential information for taxes, how much people make. Some people, they make a whole lot, but they don't want anybody to know how much they're making. Some people are vice versa, right? So it's just everybody's different. Any information that comes to us in our capacity as a CPA, it stays with us. If it comes in this office room, it doesn't even go out of that place. So that's how we are. So we have even seen, and you would find it interesting, we have served the clients. So let's say when they were couple, we file married filing jointly, and things happen, So now let's say they are separated. Each spouse would reach out to me separately, telling that this is what happened. And they will still file with us separately, because they trust us so much that I'm not going to tell any information about one person to another. We just create separate accounts, and they know that we are serving both of them. They might talk about me that, they're still using me, but they don't hear anything from us about the other person. So that's the trust that we maintain, and we take pride in that. And obviously quality is very important, because, and now we have a niche in tax planning. So we get a lot of clients regarding tax planning, especially small to mid-sized businesses, where we can make a huge difference all legally by implementing tax strategies. So so it's still like, from clients to clients, and that's how we do get our business.
David refers to that part of your business as when you have your own gravity.
Yeah, you got it quick, which is impressive. I mean, most people, it takes a long time to get ready. That little stat you got, one client brings 25 referrals. You hear that? All my clients who are listening, yes. 25 referrals. Come on, it's time to step that up. Let's go.
Our clients are slacking.
Just kidding.
We need more.
I mean, yeah, I'm looking for one. Okay. So you did bring up something interesting to me that I think I'd like to poke at a little bit. You mentioned the transition of, you were working with this client early on, working with Bob, and you've been helping Bob for all of his stuff for the first year or so, 2 years. Now you're getting to the point where you don't have time to work with Bob, but you've got to transition. And that's going to give Bob the opportunity to say, it's time to go, right? That's a scary time. That transition is scary. And I've had to do that a lot. Mm-hmm. And that is like, there's a part of me, and I'm not sure if this is part of the imposter syndrome that we've talked about several times, but there is a part of me that always feels like I'm cheating somehow. It's like, because eventually all of our clients initially meet me, right? They meet me, they get to know me, they enjoy working with me, hopefully. That's why they sign up. And then pretty fast, we switch and I vanish. And I struggled with that a lot. And I know a lot of founders do as well. It's like, you don't want to bait and switch, right? You don't want to, oh, look, you've got the attention of the owner. You're special. Gone, right? You don't want that. You want it to be, this is how it's been. So for a long time, and I want your thoughts if you had the same problem. For a long time, I had a lot of guilt with that. And I was like, okay, they're going to be mad at me because they think that I snookered them. And so my strategy has been, over the last couple of years, as we've been doing more and more of this, is to make it very clear very early on that this is a team operation. This is my role. You're going to meet me now. We're going to do this together. And then I'm going to step back, and then Gary's going to step forward, and then Gary's going to step back, and Siwa's going to step forward. And this is a plan. This is how it's always supposed to be. Did you have that same struggle? Was it easy for you? Not a big deal?
It's a real struggle, David. So, and I still go through that, because obviously with the old clients, right, the clients that I have had now, so as you said, the first couple of years maybe I did their returns, and now all I do
Mhm.
is review it, so somebody else is kind of talking to them. So what I have found, and the same thing, that there is that guilt trip, that you have to kind of go onto it to, because it seems like, okay, you brought them, into the business, and now all of a sudden it's like, you're not there because they're talking to the team members. I mean, I'm there if they need to, but at least now there are different levels for them to, they'll,
Mhm.
oh, if you have this question, you can reach out to this person. So I had to reroute their calls, reroute their emails. So what I do now, and I mean, it's not a kind of, completely foolproof strategy. I still get that guilt trip, and I it's still a challenge. But now when I take new clients, in my very initial meeting, I tell them that, you will, come on board, but then somebody from my team will work with you, and then once they're done, then it comes to me, and then I'll review it. So initially, somebody from the team will be communicating with you, and then after that, I'll be reviewing everything, and before we submit, we'll make sure that it, I take a look and all that. So we kind of put that expectations up front. So, and that has been helping.
So what if scenario where, okay, you're talking to Bob and you say, hey, Bob a little bit. He's relatively new. He's worked with you. He's enjoyed working with you, at least even through the sales process, right? And you're like, and you're going to meet Sue, who's going to take care of your taxes. And he's like, okay, cool, whatever. And then he starts working with Sue, and he comes to you and he says, I don't like Sue. I like you. What do you do?
So yeah, I mean, in a hypothetical situation, so what we do, we would try to find out.
Sure, no clients were harmed in this interview.
Yeah, it's like, why you don't like Sue, right? So we'll try to find the reasons, and then see if this is something that we can address internally, because we have team meetings every week to go over what's happening, any challenges, any accomplishments, and all that, so we can address that. But if a client has a very specific reason, so we will try to figure out, number one, what that is. Second, if it's like more personal or business reason, and so depending on what that situation would look like, then we'll just address it that way. But yeah, if that it's, I mean, it so far it hasn't happened that somebody said that they don't like, but yeah, it has happened a lot where they would say, no, I want to work directly with you. I want the whole communication to go directly to you. And that's where I need to push a little bit now, because I just, the number of clients that we serve now is just impossible for me to kind of cater to every
Sure.
email or every phone call. So yeah, that's again, going back to that, is a real struggle.
Well, I asked that because I know that this is something that every business owner goes through. As you get some success, there are some people who want to be with the founder, for whatever reason. What I have when that happens to us, and it's pretty rare now, but when that's happened to us in the past, what I try to figure out is whether or not that person has an issue like you're mentioning. There's something wrong with Sue, and we need to figure that out, right? And that's legit, and we need to figure that out. But there are some clients who, for lack of a better term, it's an ego thing. They feel important, and they only want to work with someone who's equally important.
Yeah, they don't want to
And
feel
that's
like they're being
trickier,
pawned
right? Because
off.
yeah, they're not being pawned. Don't you know who I am? Oh my gosh.
I've been with you since the beginning.
I deserve, that's another word I can't stand. What's that?
I've been with you since the beginning. I deserve to
Yeah.
be,
Yeah.
Exactly.
It just,
top client.
are you too important for me now? Right. Those kind of, if there's an ego problem that's a lot harder to solve to me, because I don't really want to work with you anymore. Even if you've been working with me successfully in the past. And again, this is pretty rare. I think we've maybe had one client who got really bad about that, but in 10 years, that's not too bad. But where it was an ego thing, it's like, I'm important and anybody else on your team is not as important. And therefore, and at that point, you have a real odd situation, which the only real answer is to fire the client, which of course we should have an entire episode about firing clients, because that's a whole nother beeswax. I just killed that, whatever. Insert analogy here. But I mean, have you had that? Is that something, or is that just unique to me?
So no, that we have had that a lot. And I guess it's just that's how when you as a sole entrepreneur, when you grow and then you have team members, it's the same thing. Clients are like, oh, what happened? I worked directly with you in the past, and now it's, as you said, it could be ego, now she's working on with only like, those clients. And it's not that I'm working with those clients, but definitely if things are more complex, let's say on the tax planning side and all that, I have to, place more focus on those things versus, if it's an individual tax return. So we do see that a lot, but I guess communication can alleviate those problems. So I have had certain instances where I could, whether explicitly or implied, where you could feel that clients feelings are getting hurt because now I'm not as available to them as I used to be like 4 years ago. And it's just then it takes that communication and explaining it to them that now we have grown, and now we have different levels, we have team, and even though they are talking to someone else, I am still overseeing all the processes and everything. So it's not that they're being ignored. It's just that my personal time that they were used to getting in the past, I'm not as available as I used to be. So it has happened. We have been able to manage those situations so far. How long we can do it, I don't know, because it does get tricky, and it really depends on the personalities of those clients. Some are more receptive, some are different. So it really depends. But yeah, whenever you grow from 1% to a big team, that's definitely a big challenge.
Awesome. I love that insight.
Can you tell us from your experience, and not just your own business, but I guess you've probably seen the struggles of other businesses that you've helped through their taxes. Do you have 3 pieces of advice that you can give to any entrepreneur or new small business starting up besides getting a tax professional? We've covered that one, but just
you get the freebie.
Yeah. 3 pieces of advice in growing the business, whether it was your business or what you've seen some of the businesses you work with doing.
Sure. So number one, I would say definitely find a niche, because if you don't have a niche, it'll be very hard to sustain that business model. I mean, things happen. So there are exceptions that we wake up one day and then we have those crazy ideas and it's like, okay, I'm going to do it no matter what. And we are after that, it will happen because, if we are after something, we have the commitment. But always my advice is that always find a niche where your expertise are, because it will be much easier to grow in that industry or in that area. Second, work hard. There is no substitute for working hard. There is no shortcut. If we try to take shortcuts, it will not sustain in the long run. Maybe people might make money, let's say in 1 year, the market is up, down, or, that particular industry is doing well. So those would be temporarily benefits. But if you work hard, if you are completely committed to what you're doing, there is, absolutely, people will succeed. The third thing is never forget your roots. Never forget the people who helped you, as I said, when you didn't have anything, and then they trusted you. Because what happens, we get carried away by people who are very successful, or people who are making big money, or people who are very influential, but they may not be the right people for you. I mean, it's good to get their advice, but people who trusted you, people who were with you when they believed in you, when you didn't have anything, never forget those people. Never forget the roots where you came from. So, anytime we try to deviate from that, our foundation gets weaker. So definitely hard work, expertise in whatever you do, and then your integrity in integrity in kind of getting close to your roots, and also not forgetting the people who have been with you in your hardest times. um, Definitely will take you where you want to go.
Awesome. So if someone wanted to find out more about you and your company, how would they find you?
Google me.
Google you. So do you Google the company name, or you personally? How do people?
So I think even if you Google my name, it should come with as my company name. So if you Google Aradhana Aggarwal, my whole company will come up. But yeah, I mean, I was just, I was kind of joking, but so if you Google my company name, Aradhana Aggarwal CPA PLLC, it should come up. If you Google my name, Aradhana Aggarwal CPA, we should come up. And we do have Facebook page, we do have Instagram page, we do have LinkedIn page. So on social media we are out there. So and then we get a lot of business from people when they are Googling, and then they find us these days. So somewhere it seems like we are coming up in the search on internet, because we these days we do get a lot of clients telling that they were just Googling like best CPA nearby or something, and then we come up in their search. And then once they see the name, they go to their website, they look at our reviews, and then they give us a call.
Well, we're going to add the links to your website and to your LinkedIn profile in the show notes of this show as well. So maybe you'll get a little boost from us too. Although it sounds like
little. The key word there is little. Un poquito. All right. So Gary, if they want to talk to us, how would they do that?
They can reach out to us through email, hello@thebigpixel.net, or you can leave any comments or questions below this video on YouTube, or you can connect with us to any one of our social media channels. And we're on everything, including TikTok.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, David's not a fan of TikTok, but
I think we have 55 people following us on TikTok. I just heard that. And I can't, I don't, I've
did
said
you
this
see
many
the
times.
video
I
that
don't
we
do
made,
TikTok.
the deep fake of you dancing?
Absolutely not. No. I know my whole team is probably punking me because they know I'm never going to look at TikTok. So they're putting horrible things.
No, we are. It's there. It's pretty funny.
100%. Fair enough. Great. Well, on that fabulous note, I thank you so much for joining us this week and giving us that great advice. It is tax season. Everyone loves it so much. I'm sure you get a lot of sleep during this time. And we appreciate you taking some of your busy time and chatting to us.
Absolutely. And thank you for having me, David. Thank you, Gary. Appreciate, for your time and for taking the time to speak to me, and appreciate you having me on the podcast.
Well, it was great meeting you, and you've been a wonderful guest. So thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good one, everybody.